In cybersecurity, the cost of silence can be just as damaging as the breach itself. This week's Hack of the Week, we're examining a lawsuit that's making waves across the insurance and cybersecurity industries. On March 10, 2025, New York Attorney General Letitia James filed a suit against National General, a subsidiary of Allstate, for allegedly failing to detect and report two major data breaches, each one exposing sensitive personal information of hundreds of thousands of individuals. This wasn't a one-time oversight. It was a pattern of negligence, delay, and missed red flags that, according to the Attorney General, violated New York's Stop Hacks and Improve Electronic Data Security Act. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Opus's YouTube channel to stay ahead of the latest cyber risk, case studies, and lessons businesses can't afford to ignore. Let's walk through what happened, and what makes this case so important. The first breach occurred between August and November of 2020. Hackers found a vulnerability in National General's online auto insurance quoting tools designed to generate quotes based on limited user input. These quoting systems have a serious flaw. They were configured to autofill full driver's license numbers in plain text when the users entered just a few identifying details. That meant with minimal information, a bad actor could automate requests to extract highly sensitive data. Driver's license numbers for thousands of consumers, including over 9,000 New Yorkers. But it didn't stop there. National General didn't detect the attack internally. They were made aware of the breach more than 2 months later, reportedly through third-party reporters or cybersecurity researchers. Even then, the company did not promptly notify affected consumers or regulators as required by law. And instead of halting or overhauling the exposed system, the company continued to operate a second quoting platform. This one used by independent insurance agents that suffered from the same core vulnerability. In January 2021, this second system was hit with a second breach, compromising personal data for an additional 187,000 people, including over 155,000 New Yorkers. And again, detection was delayed. The company discovered the second breach a month later in February. Notifications to consumers didn't go out until several months after that. The lawsuit paints a picture of a company that, despite being under scrutiny from prior breach, failed to act decisively. The Attorney General argues that basic security practices were missing, things like proper input validation, output filtering, or even rate limiting to prevent bots from abusing the quote tools. Instead, customer data was left exposed, and when the breaches finally came to light, the company's response, according to the state authorities, was too little too late. So, what is New York seeking? Attorney General James is pushing for civil penalties of up to $5,000 per violation, as well as permanent injunction to force stronger cybersecurity controls. Given that nearly 200,000 people were impacted, the financial consequences for Allstate and National General could be substantial. In response, Allstate says it has since addressed the issues. The company claims it has secured its systems, removed the autofill feature that exposed license numbers, implemented more robust user authentication, and deployed tools like CAPTCHA, and intrusion detection systems to better spot malicious behavior. They've also identified regulators and affected consumers, offering free credit monitoring and identity protection services as part of the remediation. But to New York officials, those steps came after the damage was done. This case is part of a broader push by New York to hold companies accountable for weak cybersecurity postures. Just a few months earlier, the Attorney General's office and the Department of Financial Services secured over $11 million in settlements from Geico and Travelers Insurance for similar lapses. What makes this case especially concerning is that it wasn't the sophistication of the attacker that made the breach possible. It was the lack of basic safeguards. A website feature intended to simplify users' experience instead opened the door to a mass data extraction, and it took months for anyone inside the company to notice. This should be a wake-up call for any business handling consumer data. Detection isn't enough. Speed matters. communication matters, and so does building your infrastructure with security by design, not just as an afterthought. If your systems collect personal information, especially sensitive identifiers like license numbers, tax IDs, or health records, you need to be more than just compliance. You need proactive monitoring, smart design, and clear breach response protocols. These breaches didn't have to happen, and once they did, the fallout could have been mitigated by faster, more transparent action. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe to the Opus's YouTube channel for more cybersecurity breakdowns, news, and strategic insights. And if your organization is looking to strengthen its breach detection, compliance, or response posture, visit us at www.getopus.com. We help businesses turn security into a strength, not a liability. We'll see you next time on Hack of the Week. Stay informed and stay secure.